Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Curious Realm's continuing coverage of the Roswell UFO Festival right here at the International UFO Museum. We have the great pleasure of being joined by our good friend Kathleen Marden. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, it's great to be back with you.
Always great to see your
And in person this
face.
time.
Absolutely, yes. I love our Zoom conversations, but in person is always so much better.
It is.
You were here presenting today. Tell us a little bit about the presentation that you were giving.
I was presenting on a multidisciplinary approach to understanding ET contact or contact with non-human intelligence. So I had developed this actually for a different conference where I was the keynote speaker. So it was 2 hours long and I really covered a lot. But for today I had only 1 hour.
Wow.
So I covered UFO ET contact research, what researchers do, what characteristics we look for, what we find, what kinds of marks we find on people's bodies time and time again, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Then I went into the science, the scientific evidence, and I went into Dr. Roger Lear's research
Absolutely.
on implants and the special properties that they have.
Yeah.
And so went through that, that he had an implant that had an isotopic ratio that's not found on this planet, that there was one that would broadcast into deep space, that these implants seem to have intelligence. They can be inserted, for example, in your foot and travel up your body to a place where they are undetectable.
Yeah, and his work was really fascinating, especially once you start getting into the biological response of the body, because most of the time, like, for instance, for years I had a piece of lead from pencil stuck in my leg from like the age of 8 until I was like 30-something. Wow. It took almost my whole life for that to dissolve and go away. But at the same time, every once in a while, there would be a little bump there, something like that, where material would gather around it, white cells, things like that would attack it. And it's fascinating whenever you dive into Lear's work that was not the case.
That's true. It was not.
The materials found in people.
Yes, there was a thick protective coating over it so that the body would not reject it.
Yeah.
And there were fibers connected to it, so that connected to the proprioceptive nerve fibers in our nerves. And so the intelligence from this device could communicate with our body.
Wow. Now, when you're talking about it connecting to the nerves, in what way would it do that, and what were the results of that he found anyway?
Well, the proprioceptive nerves were our sensory organs.
Okay.
And our spatial awareness, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And I don't know what he found. I'm talking a lot about my own research at this point.
That's okay.
And so, it's a mystery in a sense, but I do know that they are interested in tracking the health of the human body. And so this is something they could do. The new ones are being placed in sort of into the jaw, for example, where it's inoperable, or into a place where there are lots of nerve fibers, and if the surgeon made an accident, the person would be paralyzed, so they don't want to remove it. I guess they got tired of us removing implants and them having to replace them, that sort of thing.
Through your research, have you found any other of the material that was able to send signal, receive signal, anything like that?
No.
Any of the other implants other than the one that transmitted to deep space that Dr. Lear found out about?
Well, during my research, the implants ended up dissolving. So the ETs were wise about what we were doing. They didn't like it. So if we remove an implant, then it will simply dissolve. I had a case where A man had his removed. This is when I was the director of MUFON's Experiencer Research Team,
Yeah.
which I founded. And so we sent it to MUFON, and they sent it off to our scientist for analysis. I had photographs of the implant inside the vial, and we tried to trick the ETs by having his blood in that test tube.
So it would still be in the medium.
Right. So they'd think it was in his body.
Totally.
We had to have it surrounded with dry ice to mail it. I don't know if that made a difference, but by the time it reached the laboratory, instead of being a silver sphere, it was just a blood clot.
What?
It was gone. And then I was speaking with a state director for MUFON, and she said, we have to bypass the protocols that we follow and send this directly to the laboratory because it's dissolving in front of my eyes.
That is phenomenal. And just to think of, especially a metal that would do that in human blood or other medium, that's pretty fascinating.
It is. And you know, it uses nanotechnology beyond our capabilities at this point. And so I think that maybe it is programmed to self-destruct.
Well, and there's, especially in modern technology, things like that, there's actively been a lot of work into the world of gallium. And just the way that it can move from solid metal to liquid metal, things like that, like programmable gallium robots, that kind of stuff. So the idea of using something like that that would be able to change medium in such a way would be interesting. Were y'all able, even from the material that was left, were y'all able to like spectrochromatograph anything to be able to find any material that was stray from blood?
You know, we were so unfamiliar at that time with it, the scientists did not do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And now moving into your research now, because you spent years, once again, founding and leading the Experiencer Resource Team, things like that.
Yes.
With MUFON. But your research has gone much further than that now.
Yes.
Let's start getting into that a little bit. What are you doing with experiencers and with your research at this time?
Well, I did a number of studies with others on studies where there were PhD scientists involved, and all but one, my earliest study with Denise Stoner. But now, since the Congress, U.S. Congress has its committee on UAPs, I have begun to wonder what the general public will think about this, how they would respond to disclosure. And we've had some limited disclosure, but Dr. Melanie Barton-Bragg and I are working on a study. We've reached our goal, which is 1,005 participants.
Wow.
People from the general public and people who have had some kind of experience with a craft or a non-human intelligence.
Okay.
And so it's a long study. It is now with a university professor from Concordia University in Canada. And he and a student of his are working on it over this summer using AI in order to do a statistical analysis.
Okay.
And we're hoping that we'll end up being able to have a peer-reviewed journal publication. And then Melanie and I intend to write a book or two on our survey for the general, one for the general public, maybe one for academics.
Okay. And as you interviewed people from the general public and put them through this study, I know the study is not complete, but what did you gather just kind of as a whole, your snapshot picture of things? How did people receive this information?
Well, the majority on one of the questions said that they are not frightened, which was a real surprise to me.
Yeah.
A huge surprise. There was only a small percentage who were frightened, but still we have to worry about them.
Sure.
And think about how to handle that. And I think that a a lot of these were the more conservative Christians who believe that it's all demonic. And so Dr. Melanie Barton Bragg is a minister, was a minister, I should say. She's retired. She's also a psychotherapist.
Yeah.
And so we talk to ministers when they come to conferences.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating because, you've got the 1952 Brookings Report that, of course, famously said, like, if you find anything out there, like, well, we've got Sputnik and all that in the air. If you find anything out there, you really shouldn't tell the people because, well, like, more advanced societies normally destroy the lower class societies that they've come in contact with, and it may just very well unravel the fabric of humanity.
Well, that was based upon human behavior.
Absolutely, absolutely.
and we're a warlike species.
Yes, absolutely. And even though the recent study done by NASA, which made all kinds of headlines because it was like NASA hires 12 theologians, but that was some of the questioning. Was of course you're talking about something that would have global impact and would change it for some religions, maybe not others. You look at Eastern philosophies, that kind of stuff, probably a little bit more open-minded to such things because it's in their history, it's in their religious text. However, when you're talking about the great majority of, once again, Christian-founded people, it may bump up against some really hard belief sets that they have that may change the way that they look at the world, no different than an experiencer has that ontologic shock, and it changes the way that they view the world.
And we have listed every major religion.
Yeah.
And so we have the statistical data on their responses.
That's great.
Christianity is the largest religion in the world, but and I wish we had a larger sample of non-Christians.
Sure.
It's smaller, and I'm hoping that the professor who's working on this statistical analysis is going to be able to get some solid information based upon that.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to hear the data, honestly, because it's a question that we bring up on the show all the time, and it's literally something that, as I was telling you earlier, it's something that we need to begin addressing.
Yes.
Just amongst people in general, because we've got to have open minds and open hearts with this. So I want to thank you for your time, as always, Kathleen.
Thank you.
Always.
So good to see you.
I cannot wait to have you back on the show, as well as the doctor. Once the study is complete, I'd love to have y'all on to talk about the findings and the implications and the possible implications of it.
That would be great after
Absolutely.
we have that book written.
Yeah. Now, before we let you go, look at the camera. Let everybody know where they can go to follow all of the continuing work of Kathleen Marden, get your amazing books, everything else.
You can go to my website at Kathleen with a K dash Marden, M-A-R-D-E-A-D-E-N. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I'll do that again. Kathleen, K-A-T-H-L-E-E-N dash or hyphen MARDEN.com.
Absolutely.
I'm also on Facebook, but I don't go there as often. And really, that's the only social media that I even have time for. I'm always busy working.
Same way. People are like, oh, are you on Insta? I'm like, yeah, I guess. Like, things auto-post there. Enjoy. But always a pleasure, Kathleen. Thank you so much for your time today. While you are online checking out everything from Kathleen Marden, everybody, make sure to stop on by Curious Realm. CuriousRealm.com is where you can find all the episodes. It's where you can like, follow, subscribe. That is where you can find all of the books, movies, and classes from amazing guests like Kathleen as well. Stay tuned through this quick commercial break. We'll be right back with our continuing coverage of the Roswell UFO Festival right here at the International UFO Museum in Roswell, New Mexico, right after this.
The key to good science is good research. At the heart of good research is a good data set. With the field observation and encounter log from Curious Research, you can easily keep track of your investigative information all in one place, making it easier to review cases and readily see comparisons and contrasts between them. Whether out in the woods squatching, in a back room gathering EVPs, or using high-tech gear to track UFO, UAP activity, this easy-to-carry, pocket-sized scientific data log is the perfect companion for any field researcher. You can find your copy of the Curious Research Field Observation and Encounter Log at Amazon.com or visit the official Curious Realm store at curiousrealm.com/store to reserve your copy for yourself, your family, or a mind that you want to open. That website again is curiousrealm.com/store.